Welcome to the Dr. Dean Show again. And today we have a very special guest that I'll be introducing in just a minute. And in fact, we have several guests today. A lot of it is about talking about divorcing peacefully. How do we do that thing in as peaceful a way as possible?
Dr. Dean Beckloff has been working as a counselor with students, families, kids, and teens for over 40 years. As the founder of the Beckloff Behavioral Health Center, Dr. Dean focuses on children and families that need a little extra help via counseling. Each week with Dr. Elizabeth Zach, we discuss all things family related to help people create the positive family they want to build. Welcome to the Dr. Dean Show.
Today's special guest is our good friend from the law firm called Duffy and Eitzen. And today we're joined by Melinda Eitzen, who has been a champion, I believe, of helping folks to separate, divorce, and move forward in life in a different way perhaps than was envisioned, but doing it as peaceably as possible. And we're also joined by two other attorneys, Don Fowler and Peggy Pasquini. And they're going to be joining us and helping us with all the questions we need to ask Melinda because she's the one. And in fact, I think you actually you've been involved for a long time with collaborative law. Is that right?
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me, Dr.
Absolutely.
Dean.
And didn't you write the book on it?
Well, I'd like to say that. I wrote a book on it.
There you go. Yeah. You wrote a book on it.
I
So,
did with a mental health professional and a financial professional, co-wrote.
good.
So one is, I wrote two. One's called Divorce the Collaborative Way. Is it the way for you? And then I wrote another one called Considering Divorce, Critical Things You Need to Know. But yes, because I wanted to try to get the word out about collaborative.
Right. And you know what? I'm so glad we're talking to you today because that's my interest is how do we do that thing as peaceably as possible? First of all, what in the world is collaborative law for folks that may not know what that?
Yes. Okay. Great question. Because even some lawyers don't know who aren't in our practice area. It is a statutory process, which means it's not just made up by someone like me who thinks it sounds great. It's in the law book. And it is an alternative dispute resolution process, which means instead of going to court, we are going to amicably resolve people's divorce issues. And it's not limited to divorce, it could be modification or other types of suits, prenups. And it's designed to be private, very confidential, more amicable, and it can include and often does a team, and the team involves a neutral mental health professional and a neutral financial professional, and then both of the litigants, meaning the husband and the wife or the husband, whatever the spouses are, they both have their own lawyer.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, I am sold on, what did you say?
Dispute resolution.
Alternative dispute resolutions. And all three of you have been involved in that because a form of that is mediation. And I know you do a lot of mediations as well. Peggy does a lot of mediations. Dawn has done a lot of mediations. And I've helped with it with Dawn,
Mhm.
but it's about resolving it without going into the courtroom.
Mhm.
And I will say I got to walk through divorce land myself about nearly 20 years ago now, but I was so pleasantly surprised and shocked at how that helped us to get to some resolutions. And that is the point. And we never went to court. We never went into the courtroom, which I'm so glad that that's the way it went.
Mhm.
Um, do you, what's your thoughts about this kind of way to divorce, as well as other means of trying to do it as peaceably as possible? Why is peace so important?
Yeah, that's a great question. Give peace a chance. One reason is, and it's not the only reason, but one reason is if people have children together, we want them to be able to co-parent post-divorce. And so if they go to World War III, it's a lot harder to do that.
Right.
So that's one reason. Another reason is most people want to be their higher selves. And when you're at war, you are not your higher self. You are
Right.
down in the dirt, telling all the secrets, telling all the failings of your spouse. Most people don't want to behave that way. They just didn't know there was an alternative.
Thank you. Thank you. And alternative
Dispute resolution.
dispute resolution. Dawn, you've been involved in it. Anything that you would add to dispute
Alternative dispute
dispute?
resolution.
Okay, just say it.
Okay, alternate dispute resolution.
Oh, there it is.
ADR, for short. The one thing that has remained a constant in my 40-year career is that keeping the children out of the middle is the most important gift that you can give to them. And I had the privilege and honor to work with Melinda's father, Judge Merrill Hartman, on a award-winning video called Don't Forget the Children. And I'm sure that influenced you in some respect, Melinda.
Oh, definitely.
And he always said, if you have two parents who are there's no major issues other than different parenting styles. In other words, no severe mental illness issues, no issues with substance abuse. Basically, they just have a difference of opinion as to how to raise their children and who can do the better job. It doesn't matter. Either parent is going to do a great job with those kids, and the damage you do to them by going through litigation and involving them in the process is going to harm them for many years. And I've always kept that with me. And really and truly, there's been so many changes in the law during my career, but that to me has remained a constant.
And Peggy, you've been doing this alternative dispute resolution stuff too. What's your feeling about that? Are you also, and I believe you are, but you also are out to try to get people to resolve their differences peaceably?
Yes. I tell people the worst thing you can do, the worst thing is go to the courthouse. And if I can do anything to keep people away from the courthouse, that's the path I take. The children do suffer, and we see this, you see this, but we see it all the time. And the people suffer. Once you've had to sit in the courtroom and listen to your spouse say ugly things about you, and they do.
Yeah. Well,
Take
they
it
have
from me,
to.
they do. It's horrible, and you will never be able to parent well together again. Maybe after years of therapy you'll get there, but I'm not even sure that would do it. So to me, there are many ways, many things that are alternative dispute resolution
Right.
in that sense. Of course, there's wonderful collaborative. There is mediation. Most of my cases go to mediation. Or there is simply lawyers that can work together, work it out, keep their clients fully informed and involved in the process, but work things out together.
Yeah.
The trick is finding two attorneys, both parties finding their own attorney that will work with the other. So,
Melinda, how did you get involved in working with this thing that we call specifically collaborative law? Were you working in the normal kinds of ways of helping people to divorce prior to that? And where did you come into this thing?
Good question. Yes. So before collaborative existed, I was just doing litigation. That was all that was available. And I still litigate. Some cases have to be tried.
True. Yeah.
And I'm honored to help people. And it's usually because the other person is crazy. And I know that's not the technical term, but
no, that is a term of art.
or they have an addiction problem that they are not willing
Yeah.
to resolve, so those cases have to be tried. But maybe 25 years ago, collaborative came to Texas, and Larry Hantz, who I think is retired now, but excellent lawyer, he called me and said, "Hey, we're going to have this training about collaborative and you should come." And I really had no idea what I was going to learn about. So I'm at the training, and it was a 2-day training, I think. And about midway through the first day, I was like, "Oh, oh, this sounds fabulous. So I started running around the room and finding other people that I had a case with that I had just started. And I found somebody and I said, we should do this one collaborative. So I think I had the first collaborative case in Dallas because
Oh my
it was the
goodness.
day it came
Yeah.
to Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. And I've had the training. You've had the training,
Yes.
Dawn. You've had the
Yes.
training too, which I'm so glad I had the training. I haven't done the official collaborative law, but the training was invaluable in working with families and kids and helping them in this journey. And I will say, having walked through divorce plan myself, you get a heart for that. And so I started wanting to help people in that profession. Now, I am going to say this about that courthouse. The benches break my back.
It's not comfy.
I think those pews, there's a hidden subtle message. Don't ever come back here.
It's not meant to be comfy.
No.
But I need comfy. Oh well. But so that's kind of kicked it off. Have you been in this whole process of learning about it and growing in it and all of that? Has it strengthened your resolve about doing things as peaceably as possible?
Oh, yes. So this is what's so great about collaborative. This sounds overdone and overstated, but it produces a miracle. And what I mean by that is I'm also a mediator. So I mediate mainly for people in litigation. They hire me, both lawyers hire me to help them resolve it. And I love that process also. But only collaborative, in my experience, produces a miracle because we are trained and the professionals are coming into the process very open-minded to something very creative and designed for this family in mind. So we end up with results that you never would have expected. As lawyers, we typically, when we go into mediation, think we have to have the idea of how it will settle. We are expected to come in with a settlement offer, and we're often comparing what we're putting on the table for settlement to what would happen at the courthouse. But that is not true in collaborative. In collaborative, we are helping the two people who are getting divorced. We're helping them to come up with a solution. We're empowering them and educating them so they can come up with an idea of how they're going to share the time with their children and how they're going to divide their money. And they come up with ideas we never would have thought of.
Right. Right.
So it is truly, I say, let the miracle happen.
Empowerment to the two people.
And don't get in the way of it, because as professionals, we want to tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to kind of be a blank slate and let the miracle happen.
Well, whether you're doing collaborative law or mediations, and y'all have experienced this too, Peggy and Dawn, that you can get that thing resolved and they will not enter into the courtroom. And Peggy, like you said, there's going to be a lot of stuff said very negatively about each person. And, as a mental health provider, I've been there.
You're
Um,
saying some of it.
Yeah. And it's very hard because we have two people that we've worked hard to relate to and connect with, and then we're pitted in there.
Yes.
And that is the downside about going to court, is that it is going to be about who's the worst, maybe, and the person, we've got a judge, and sometimes you need a judge. Like you said, sometimes you need a judge. But if you can do it without, and I've helped many people not to go into court and to get that thing resolved. Peggy,
Yes, I
you,
was just going to interject here that there are some people that are so ingrained that they're going to go to court. They want to go to court, and you can't talk them out of it no matter what. And you can't get them to resolve it without a judge saying something.
yeah,
And I do tell people, I don't like arguments. However, I love to go to court and argue for my client. I take great joy in that. But I much prefer that we settle it without that.
oh yeah. I mean,
But
you brought up just a little bit ago, it's the kids.
oh, it is.
It's
It's
the
all about the
kids
children.
in the middle. and the kids get pulled into it. I had a little 4-year-old guy ask me as soon as he walked in, "Whose side are you on?" 4 years old, and he was thinking about whose side. And I thought for a minute and quickly thought, oh, you know what? I'm on your side. He could list all of who was on mom's side and who was on dad's side at 4 years old.
Oh, that's so
You
sad.
know, and that kind of horrible, to me, horrible situation that the kid is placed into.
Yes.
Now, it is my opinion that as soon as parents are separated, kids are going to be put into a bind, and we call it a loyalty bind. It's just going to happen. But the parent's job is to take that bind and loosen it. That's the parent's job. If you go into court, it's just tightening it. I'm sorry, that sounds kind of gross, but it's just tightening the noose on the kid. And that's why you're such a proponent of stay out of the court too. Let's figure out a different way. What are some of the highlights of collaborative law that you also like and appreciate about that process?
One thing that is unique about it is the statute itself that's in the law says we are not going to do formal discovery. And what discovery is our tool in litigation to get information. I send a request for documents, the other lawyer has 30 days to respond. Collaborative, none of that. Anything anyone wants, they get, and they just ask for it in an informal way. So if my client says, gosh, I'd sure like to see the last 5 years of bank statements, because I think maybe there was some divorce planning going on. You don't have to trust each other to do collaborative, by the way. The other person says, here's the 5 years of bank statements. In litigation, it's a whole big fight about it. I shouldn't have to give you 5 years. I'm going to object. I'm only going to give you 2 years. Then you have to go have a hearing. The judge says you get 4.5 years. Yeah, all of that. But in collaborative, none of that.
Yeah.
If you want the information, you get it. It's full disclosure.
So with divorce, I'm going to ask all three of you. We'll start with you, Don Fowler. What are some of the pitfalls to peace? I'm sure that all of you have had thousands of stories of how things went haywire. But are there attitudes? Are there, mindsets? Is there headspace, as we call it today, that creates some of the difficulties to getting it done peaceably? Don?
I think most people don't understand what happens at the courthouse. And I also think a lot of people listen to the wrong person. Lots of ears out there, lots of mouths out there telling them and supporting their position without really understanding exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think that's primarily it. They don't understand that the judges have limited amount of time. They are, strict. They have these rules that they have to follow. There's really no such thing as fair. And best interest of the child is really something that is internal to all of us. We all have a different definition of what that is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Peggy, what are the pitfalls to peace? How do we get into these knockdown, drag out fights?
A lot of it, I think, has to do with the attorneys that are involved. I think that if everybody hires a calm attorney, an attorney that has knowledge, but is not wanting to just run to the courthouse over everything. And you know that in your initial consultation with them. If that person is starting to say to you, if that attorney is saying, oh, we can go get an order on this and we'll get an order on that and we won't have to do this, but we're going to do that. We'll get them for sure. That's a big flag that you've got a litigious person. And there are attorneys that are known to be very litigious. They can cause lots of problems. Lots of problems.
And I, like you, have been there when you have two attorneys. Let's say it's a mediation, because that's what I'm familiar with. But both of the attorneys are doing such an amazing job of encouraging their client to settle it peaceably. They're like, no, that's going to cost you more if you go down that road. Let's look at this more realistically. I mean, they're such advocates. And that's what I was telling you. There's so many good people here in family law that want that. They want peace, and they're wanting that to happen because I think all of you would agree it's good for the family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how does collaborative law set the family up to be successful post divorce?
What's funny is we have this neutral mental health professional that's part of the team. And that person is kind of the facilitator of the whole process. But they're also teaching these people how to communicate more effectively. So sometimes they leave the divorce communicating better than they ever did their whole
Yep.
marriage, which is just, I have more cases where people reconcile that when they're in collaborative than I ever did in litigation because we're not making the situation worse. We're possibly making it better. But even if not, if they need to get a divorce, they are learning a better way to communicate. And often that neutral mental health professional will become what's called a parent coordinator. And that's another statutory process person that it's in the family code. And that person will help them post divorce when they have difficult issues or they need a little help with co-parenting. And they don't have to go all the time, just when they
No.
need to.
Yeah, yeah. And I know Don, you and Peggy have both been involved doing parenting. Let's see, there's parenting facilitation and parenting coordination. Yeah. And y'all have done both. I
Yes.
don't know. Have you done any of the parenting stuff like facilitation or any of that?
No, I don't serve in that role.
Okay. But y'all have done that. And
Yes.
that is an attempt, what you're kind of alluding to try to help people to keep things settled as they go on. But, I can see how collaborative can set people up maybe a little more effectively because they're being modeled by the two attorneys, the mental health person,
Right.
how to resolve the problems. And you're dealing with problems and issues that are real, but you are helping them to get there, is what I kind of
Yes.
think. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
As a facilitator, I can tell where people came from. If they came from a litigation model or if they came from a collaborative model. It's a world of difference. The people who come from a collaborative model, I may see initially just to kind of get to know them, understand their family, and then maybe see them a quarter or every quarter of a year or before a holiday or before a special event, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. The other folks I'm seeing several times a month, and it's a constant battle to resolve issues.
well, and so many times I think y'all are faced with trying to work with them while they're
In litigation.
in litigation,
Yes.
and it doesn't set them up for post.
Yeah.
And there's just so much conflict. Oh my word.
Well, I
Um,
could interject too. When we
Sure.
see them and they're still in litigation, it's sometimes we see them still in litigation. Sometimes we see them after everything's finalized, sometimes both. But if they're still in litigation, very often their attorneys will have said, don't talk about this until you've talked to me. Don't discuss this in facilitation. Call me first. Don't agree to this. And so it really stymies the process.
Yeah. Don, let me ask, I'm going to ask all three of you. Don, what are some attitudes that you recommend people to have in the process of whether it's mediation or uh, what is it?
ADR.
Thank you. What do you ask people to have certain types of attitudes? Do you ask them to be how do you deal with maybe up front with talking about the conflicts? Is there something that you say, well, I really want you to be thinking this is a time for us to help and work together? What's your thoughts?
I try to get people to focus on their kids, and I have been known to say, take out your phone, put a photo right there where we can see it while we're talking, because that should be your entire focus. And I want to know what you want your life to look like as families in two different homes 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And let's work towards that. Let's be creative.
Let's look at the future outcome.
Right.
Yeah. Because currently it may be HE double hockey sticks,
Mm-hmm.
right? It may be
Correct.
really hard, but where do you want to be? Yeah, I love that.
And
Peggy, any thoughts that you ask people to be, and you do parenting facilitation
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Are there some things that you try to get them to do?
Or not do.
Yeah.
Mostly quit thinking about the past.
mm,
Quit telling me that something that happened 10 years ago is truly relevant to what we need to discuss today. Let's look at the children as they are today, and let's work with your separate families in taking care of them and be supportive of each other. No, you do not have to do everything for the other parent, but you do need to be supportive. And you need to show that to the children.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What are the children learning in this process of how you do life
Yes.
in a highly conflictual situation? It is. It just is. I've often said it's a high calling that two people who are no longer going to be married have to work together on behalf of the kids. How do you do that? I mean, that's a high calling. And of course, I fell short, and there's no way not to fall short. But some of these attitudes can really enhance that process and on into the future. So, uh, what's your thoughts, Melinda?
Well, first of all, I believe in mental health professionals like you, Dr. Dean, and the people at your shop. So I tell everyone I represent, if you're going through this, you should be in individual counseling. So I send everybody to individual counseling. Then number 2, I tell them to get the Biff book by Bill Eddy.
Yes.
So, and then I can say to them, that didn't seem very Biff, did it? And that's a book that tells you how to communicate in a high conflict situation. And then I tell them you can write the text and the email and then delete it. You don't have to send everything you write.
Bingo. Bingo. Listen, and that book again is called Biff, Biff, by Bill Eddy. It's a great book to look at. They have a version that is for parents specifically who are divorcing, but they also have it for business people as well. Another one called Biff. So look it up. You can get that book. It's easy. It's really not a hard read, but
No,
very
so good.
very practical on communication. And it's a new communication. There's a new world that's happening, correct? When people are
Mhm.
divorcing, there's something new happening. I think we would like to think of it as something new that's positive, but it's also new and hard.
Yes, yes.
Well, in consideration, too, of the fact that communication manners have changed, that now we email, and it's so easy, as you were alluding to a while ago, to type out that email and hit send, and then say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done
Oh, my
that.
word.
So, you know,
Haven't we all done that? I've done it.
if I think I'm going to say something that could be iffy, which I try not to say, but if I I don't put a name on it at first or an address.
Thank you. That's what I do too. I don't put where it's
Right.
going to.
So I don't accidentally send it,
Exactly.
or I'll address it to myself.
Accidents happen. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for what you're doing, Melinda, with trying to divorce in peace and helping people to get there. You have so much experience. And what is the best way for people to contact Duffy and Eitzen?
Oh, thank you. So we have a great website, so you can get a lot of information on duffyandeitzen.com. And our phone number is 214-416-9010. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. And Peggy Pasquini,
Yes.
what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
The best way is 972-333-5372.
Okay, fantastic. And Dawn Fowler?
Thank you. Dawn at dawnfowlerlaw.com.
Yeah. Okay. Easy to access these good folks, and there's a lot of good people behind them too, like at your firm. And I will say, if you need to get a hold of anybody from our counseling center, it's best way is website www.dfhc.org. drbekloff.com, drbekloff.com. And anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I think you've enlightened us considerably. We'll have to do it again.
Thank
It's a
you for having us.
pleasure. Yes, anytime.